Have you been trying to be more creative? Better yet, do you have that person that you know or even an entrepreneur that you admire? For me, that's Steve Jobs, where you used to wonder, man, how's this person so creative? Outside of like having unlimited funds to be able to put towards different things, but just have you ever thought to yourself like, man, how's this person so creative? Or have you felt like good ideas don't come to you? Or have you ever thought to yourself, maybe you're not creative? Well, I'm going to change all of those ideas because as you'll learn today, creativity isn't something that you do. Creativity is a way of being. It's something that you already are, and it's something that you're connected to. Okay, so in this video, we're going to be doing a book review of the book by Rick Rubin. It's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. It was recommended to me by one of my best friends, Josh. And it is the best book on creativity that I've ever read by far, even better than Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull, the co-founder and president at Pixar, formerly. So Rick Rubin has worked with a lot of different A-list celebrities like Jay-Z. Like, for example, you guys know the song 99 Problems from the beginning. He's like, if you having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but ain't one. It was Rick Rubin's idea to have that part be a cappella. And if you just watch his videos, the way he works is really uncommon. It's really cool to watch. So he wrote this book, and it's one of those books where it was one of those books that I just could not put down. I wasn't even gonna do any more book reviews, but this book is so good that I felt like I had to because I feel like it can help a lot of people. So as you know, if you've watched other ones, I've been reading a book a week since 2015, and I take notes on all the books I read. And in this book, I literally have all of these pages of notes all the way to right here. All right, so we're gonna go over these notes. I look at reading a book as digging for gold. A lot of times there'll be a few nuggets, but some books like this one is just so many gold nuggets. And I have them all written down here, so I hope you get value from this. So I'm gonna read the notes and I'm gonna elaborate on things that I feel aren't self-explanatory. If you have an idea you're excited about and you don't bring it to life, it's not uncommon for the idea to find its voice through another maker. This isn't because the other artist stole your idea, but because the other idea's time has come. So this book made me think of art as like an actual living thing. Like art is somewhere up here is trying to find a medium, a person to which it can express itself through to an audience, which is other people. Second, the best artists tend to be the ones with the most sensitive antenna to draw in energy resonating at a particular moment. So he describes being an artist as being able to have an antenna where you get intelligence from the universe or God or whatever you call it to be able to go ahead and transmute that into something that's tangible. Next point, most of the time we're gathering data from the world through the five senses with the info that's being transmitted on higher frequencies. We're channeling energetic material that can't be physically grasped. How do we pick up on a signal that can neither be heard or defined? The answer is not to look for it. Instead, create an open space that allows it. A space so free of the normal overpacked conditions of our minds that it functions as a vacuum. Pretty self-explanatory, I think. If something strikes you as interesting or beautiful, first live that experience. Only afterward should you attempt to understand it. This reminds me of what Steve Jobs did with the cooker. So when the slow cookers first came out, they had the traditional plug-in. It plugged into the device and the cord plugged into the wall. Well, what happened was a baby grabbed the cord and pulled it down. I think it got like third-degree burns and died. So what they did was they made it magnetic so that when someone goes to pull it out, it doesn't pull the whole thing down on you so you don't get burned. So I remember reading in Steve Jobs' biography, he was just sitting there staring at the slow cooker. He did the same thing with the telephone. He would just sit there and stare at it, right? And just try to allow an open space for ideas to come to him. And that's how he got the idea of if you have a Mac, some of them have the magnetic chargers where you can pull in so that way you don't walk by the cord and kick it and send the computer flying and risk breaking it. It's magnetic so it pulls out. Same idea. Next one. The ability to look deeply is the root of creativity. To see past the ordinary and mundane and to get what might otherwise be invisible. Pretty self-explanatory. As artists, we seek to restore our childlike perception, a more innocent state of wonder and appreciation, not tethered to utility or survival. Let that sink in. Our filter inevitably reduces source intelligence by interpreting what arrives instead of letting it pass freely. These relationships produce beliefs and stories. As artists, we want to hold these stories softly and find space for the vast amount of information that doesn't fit easily within the limits of our belief system. Now, this next sentence, what I'm about to read, is still the same point, but this was like the most profound thing that I read in the book. I say profound because it is something that I understand, but not fully. And as time's been going along, this has been making more sense. Like, I still don't fully grasp this. The more raw data we can take in and the less we shape it, the closer we get to nature. That's wild. Like, what does that fully mean? You know, I did a book review on Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. And a lot of his work, he talks about like accessing the quantum realm and creating from the field versus using matter to influence matter. And he talks about the only way to get to the quantum field is to become no one at no time doing nothing, like pretty much stripping away all identity. So that kind of has some parallels here, but I feel like it's still more to it that I don't fully get yet. But man, that's an interesting thought. Next one. When something out of the ordinary happens, ask yourself, what's the message / greater meaning? An integral part of the artist's work is deciphering these signals. The more open you are to clues you'll find, and the less effort you'll need to exert. You may be able to think less and rely on answers arising from within you. Pretty self-explanatory. The people who choose to do art are many times the most vulnerable. There are A-list singers among the best in the world who can't bear listening to their own voice. The sensitivity that allows them to make the art is the same vulnerability that makes them more tender to being judged. That makes so much sense. Next point. Art creates a profound connection between the artist and the audience. Through that connection, both can heal. Let that sink in. We might hold a problem to be solved lightly in the back of our mind versus the front. This way, we can remain present with it over time while engaging in a simple, unrelated task. Sometimes disengaging is the best way to engage. That's why Einstein says some of his best ideas come to him in the shower. A lot of times I like to go to the beach. That's what I find is my most creative / zen place. And I'll have something I want to think about just in the back of my mind, let my brain play with it. There's actually studies that show if you're trying to understand something and you just, while doing it, if you get confused or just take like a random break, 10 seconds, that's all you need. Just take 10 seconds, close your eyes. Your brain plays it back forward and backwards in like 20x speed, and you'll come out with it with more understanding. Next point. If you want to paint, you're likely to begin by stretching a canvas over a wood frame and propping it up on an easel. Based solely on the tools selected, you've already exponentially narrowed what's possible before starting. Templates of the past can be inspiration in the beginning phases, but it's helpful to think beyond what's been done before. The world isn't waiting for more of the same. Shake things up a bit. Next one. Often the most innovative ideas come from those who master these rules to such a degree that they can see past them, or from those who never learn them at all. This reminds me of, in the book he was talking about, the game Go. I've never played it, but it's basically like chess on steroids. They had an AI beat like a grandmaster, and it got to this pivotal moment where there was a move that had to be made and it would have determined the whole outcome of the game. And the AI made a move that no one was expecting, and the grandmaster got up and left. He was so taken back, and he came back visibly shaken. He ended up losing that game, and the AI beat him like 4-1 or something like that. The reason why it won is because it simply inputted the rules of the game and let it create and play freely. It didn't input all these strategies that everyone learns. Like if you learn from a grandmaster, it's going to teach you about history and tell you all these strategies. But a lot of times you just need to learn the rules so you can, create from your own. And that's why a lot of companies, they want people who, maybe have went and got educated on the field, but hasn't worked somewhere so they can kind of mold them on their own. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Next point. Rules obeyed unconsciously are far stronger than the ones set on purpose, and they are more likely to undermine the work. Pretty interesting. While the eyes and the mouth can be sealed, an ear has no lid, nothing to close. It takes in what surrounds it. It receives but can't transmit. The ear is simply present to the present world. And that's why they say when you meditate, you just want to observe your thoughts, like listen to them, because you can't shut them off because you can't close your ears. Like I can close my eyes and not see. I can close my mouth and not let anything come in and taste. I can fold my arms and choose not to feel anything. But even when I like push my ears, I can still hear my own thoughts and stuff like that. It's different. To see what no human has seen before, know what no human has known before, it requires to see as if through eyes that have never seen, through the mind that has never thought. This is a beginner's mind, one of the hardest states to dwell in for an artist, precisely because it involves letting go of what our experiences has taught us. Beginner's mind is starting from a pure childlike place of not knowing, living in the moment with as few fixed beliefs as possible, seeing things for what they are as presented. These childlike superpowers include being in the moment, valuing play above all else, having no regard for consequences, being radically honest without consideration, and having the ability to freely move from one emotion to the next without holding on to the story. For children, each moment in time is all there is. No future, no past. If I want it now, I'm hungry, I'm tired. Pure authenticity. A child has no set of premises it relies on to make sense of the world. It may serve you to do the same. Any label you assume before sitting down to create could be doing more harm than good. Strip labels away. Pretty self-explanatory. Okay, this next point, when he's talking about seeds, he's talking about ideas. Collecting seeds typically doesn't involve a tremendous amount of effort. It's more of a receiving of a transmission, a noticing. As if catching fish, we walk to the water, bait the hook, cast the line, then patiently wait. We can't control the fish, only the presence of the line. As an artist casts a line out to the universe, we don't get to choose when inspiration comes. We can only be there to receive it. Collecting seeds or ideas is best approached with an active awareness and boundless curiosity. Genius. That is fucking great. When you're on a roll in the craft phase, work towards a full first draft. Maintain the momentum. If you can reach a section of the work that gives you trouble, instead of letting this blockage stop you, work around it. A bridge is easier to build when it's clear what's on the other side. The more work you can see, the easier it is to place final details where they belong. Makes perfect sense. When listening to feedback, listen to understand the person, not the work. People will tell you more about themselves than about the art. That's another one of those things where I'm just like, I'm still grasping that. Whatever you choose, decide on a framework that breaks your normal rhythm and see where it leads. That could mean creating in a different place instead of your office. A lot of times I like to go to the beach to edit videos or, think of different strategies. Nowadays I can pull up Google Docs or whatever I'm writing on my phone. You can create from anywhere. Try it. A rule is a way of structuring awareness. Next one. If we second guess our inner knowing to attempt to predict what others might like, our best work will never appear. Pretty self-explanatory. Whenever an instinct towards movement and evolution arises, listen to it. Being trapped by a fear of losing ground is a dead end. Consider that it might not have been your initial style that attracted success, but your personal passion within it. So if your passion changes course, follow it. Your trust in your instincts and your excitement are what resonates with others. Pretty self-explanatory. If we can tune into the idea of making things and sharing them without being attached to the outcome, the work is more likely to arrive in its truest form. Next one. The practice of never assuming an experience you have is the whole story will support you in a life of open possibility. Try to look at things from, the example he gave in the book, if you're experiencing hardship, look at yourself as like a character in a movie and say, I wasn't expecting that plot twist. I wonder what's going to happen to our hero next. Next point. Art is about the maker. Its aim is to be an expression of who we are. This makes competition absurd. The energy of competition oscillates at a lower vibration. Wanting to outperform another artist or make a work better than theirs rarely results in true greatness. Why create with the purpose of diminishing someone else? However, when another great work inspires us to elevate our own, the energy is different. This energy of rising to meet is quite different from conquering. Being made happy by someone else's best work and then let it inspire you to rise to the occasion is not competition, it's collaboration. This reminds me of when I was reading Peter Thiel's book, 0 to 1. He was talking about don't compete, create. When you're competing with someone, you're only as good as they were yesterday. You're focusing on the product that they put out or experience that they put out, That was a result of years or months in the making. And they're already on to something else. So by you trying to top that, they're already working on topping that with something else. You'll always be behind. Create, don't compete. Next point. Think of self-competition as a quest for evolution. The object is not to beat our other work. It's to move things forward and create a sense of progression. Growth over superiority. Next point. Perfection is finally obtained not when there is no longer anything to add, but when there's no longer anything to take away. Getting down to the essence of your message or your product or your experience is the most important thing. He talked about a house. If you take away the windows and the doors, it's still a house. But if you take away the roof and like the foundation and the pillars that make the house stand up, now you kind of don't know what it is. Living in discovery is at all times preferable to living through assumptions. Release all expectations about what the work will be. Approach the process with humility, and the unexpected will visit more often. Instead of trying to create with sheer will, surrender, and the ideas that want to come won't be blocked. With your intention set and the destination unknown, you surrender your conscious mind, and the unexpected will keep appearing. Faith is rewarded more than talent or ability. For the artist whose job is testing possibilities, success is as much ruling out a solution as finding one that works. Pretty self-explanatory. Next one. With unshakable faith, we work under the assumption that the problem is already solved. The answer is out there. Perhaps it's obvious. We just haven't come across it yet. Next one. Faithful note-taking by a connected observer helps prevent special moments from getting lost in the churn of excitement. So basically, if you're brainstorming with someone, have someone who's not a part of the brainstorm, who's just there to document the most important things. Next point. There are sides of ourselves that aren't welcome in polite society. Thoughts and feelings too dark to share. When we recognize them expressed in art, we feel less alone. You know, I feel like that's a big reason why people like Tupac. I was just watching the Tupac and Afeni Shakur documentary, and Mike Tyson was in there. He was saying, like, he goes all over the world, and everywhere he goes, people ask him, like, what was Tupac like? And Tupac stood up for people who were, like, oppressed, you know, and things like that. And a lot of people have these certain feelings, and you can tell by who they attach to. Same with Triple X. Like, people like people who are vulnerable because vulnerability is hard for us to do because we think it makes us look weak when it actually makes us look strong. Take with that what you will. Next point. In the moment when we feel the work is taking shape, there's a dynamic surge followed by an urge to share it in the hopes of replicating that mysterious emotional charge in others. This is the call to self-express, our creative purpose. It's not necessarily to understand ourselves or be understood. We share our filters, our way of seeing, in order to spark an echo in others. Art is a reverberation of an impermanent life. As human beings, we come and go quickly, and we get to make work that stand as monuments to our time here. Man, there was certain times I was reading this book, and I wanted to cry. The knowledge was so good. So, yeah, those are all the notes I got from the book. I definitely recommend you give the entire book a read. I've already got it for gifts for a few people, and a few of those people that I got it for gifts for has gotten it for gifts as gifts for other people that they liked it so much. So, you know, if I come across another book that I really, really feel like was good, I'll do another book review. If you guys have any books that you want me to do a review on, drop it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on what I just shared. Let me know if you read the book and it's maybe something that I didn't cover. I'm always up for collaboration and, you know, conversation. But with that, I hope you got value from this video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.